I've got a really sneaky suspicion Alexander Volkanovski is going to lose this weekend at UFC 314. It sucks he's facing Diego Lopes, and I don't know why, but his return to glory does not seem like it is destined as much as Diego Lopes looks like he is destined for greatness. Now, obviously, this is in the void of Ilia Topuria abandoning the weight division to go to 155. So whoever wins this fight, that shadow, that monster is going to be hanging over them greatly. And I think that's going to have an effect on Alexander Volkanovski. And that makes no sense, does it? Like, oh, the fact that Ilia beat him, like, he's not the best, or he's not one of the greatest featherweights of all time. We know Jose Aldo's the greatest featherweight of all time, right, boys? Right? But regardless, his return here, it's more like a match for second best. And Volk is mentally strong. We know he is. We've seen him in incredibly hard situations before, but we've also recently seen him kind of do stupid things, like fight Islam Makhachev on 2 weeks or 6 days notice, I believe, and then return 2 months later after being knocked out in the first round and fighting Ilia Topuria. He's 36. Like, the odds aren't with him this fight. And man, Diego Lopes is nobody to fool around with. I can understand if Volkanovski was fighting like a Movsar Vloyev, where he's, doesn't have the heaviest of hands, but he's going to come in there and wrestle. He's dealt with the Dagestani wrestling before. But what really is concerning me most about this is Diego Lopes's craziness and unpredictability. And Volkanovski talked about this, talking about how, Diego's going to have to catch him in one of those wild transitions. But that's the thing. See, Diego Lopes thrives in those situations. Thrives. I mean, he does his best work where he's chaotic and he's causing havoc. That knockout against Ilia Topuria, Alexander Volkanovski got caught in the havoc. And we could talk about, his switch hitting, his step up low kick that he does. And yeah, that can give Diego Sanchez. Listen to me. Oh my gosh. What is this, 2007? That can give Diego Lopes a lot of problems. Especially with his chaotic style. That whole step back, switch lead right hook. That could really hurt Diego Lopes. But for some reason, I feel like, I don't know, I've got this bad feeling. I was in the chat with the boys, with Ryan Wagner and Miguel Class and all the ghosts and everybody, Fino. And they were all saying, yeah, like Volk should run through Diego Lopes. And I'm like, I got a sneaky suspicion that Diego Lopes is going to win this weekend. I don't want him to. Volkanovski is one of my favorite fighters, right? I want to see him win. But just, Father Time is undefeated. It waits for no man, Guys, I got a bad feeling about this. I feel like I'm in Star Wars. I have a bad feeling about this, But I don't know, man. What do y'all think? Like, do y'all think Diego Lopes really has a shot to beat Alexander Volkanovski? Or do y'all think Volkanovski has a shot to be, champion again? I got the polls running on the post. Y'all can go check that out and follow it and make your vote. We're close to 500 winning on the year. But yeah, man, Lopes just brings this crazy torrential pace. And I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop Alexander Volkanovski, or if it's going to be enough or Volkanovski is going to have I can't talk. If Alexander Volkanovski is going to have enough at this point in his career to stop it. Because, we know, back when he fought Max Holloway, we knew Volkanovski could stop the volume and the chaotic pace that's brought to a fight. We saw him against a great wrestler that is Islam Makhachev. We saw all that. And we saw him look great. But he just hasn't looked like the great Alexander the Great in his last two fights. And there's giant asterisks there, 6 days notice and coming back on a short notice fight. But that doesn't mean he hasn't aged and hasn't regressed. I pray he hasn't. But boys, prepare for it. I think Alexander Volkanovski loses this weekend. Point blank. And it's nothing to do with, well, it has a lot to do with how good Diego Lopes is. No shade to him there, but Volkanovski's just, he had the old man meme going, blah, blah, this and that. He's actually there. He is actually there. Cheatin Michael Chandler returns in a very peculiar fight against Paddy Pimblett. That's going to be an odd one for sure. Paddy Pimblett seems like the most undeserving fighter of his ranking. You know, he's opportunistically rose through the rankings. But then you look at lightweight and you're like, man, a lot of these guys don't deserve to be ranked where they're at. And I'm going to say some heresy here. I don't think a lot of fighters that have their ranking in lightweight deserve it. Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. These guys are great and they win the fights they should, but they also lose. They don't win the fights that they need to win to be great and to get over the top. And for the longest time, like, lightweight was so much seen as the best division in the UFC. You had your Khabibs, your Conors, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. And that era's gone. Now, bantamweight's kind of taking that title, even though everybody's mad about Merab versus O'Malley, too. I'm not as mad about that as everybody else is. I don't think that's a bad fight, honestly. I think Sean O'Malley can make some adjustments. He just has to. But, like, let's go look over here real quick, because this is important to me, honestly. Lightweight right here. Saryukin deserves this spot. Oliveira, probably not really number 2. Gaethje, definitely not number 3 since Max Holloway knocked him out. Holloway, deserving. Poirier, argument. You could say he's number 5. Hooker, opportunistic ranking. Michael Chandler, absolutely not. Gamrot, I used to think so. Nope. Dariush should be lower. Moicano, that's fair. Fiziev doesn't fight. Paddy Pimblett beat what's his name? Bobby King Green to get this ranking. Benoit Saint-Denis, 2-fight losing streak. Grant Dawson, very good fighter. Ignacio Bahamondes, very good fighter. Like, these guys are good, but a lot of them are, like, old, and the young guys can't seem to get over the hump with them. Like, Rafael Fiziev just lost to Justin Gaethje. Like, he can't get over the hump. And we know that there's great fighters out there. Like, I have no doubt in my mind Grant Dawson could go out there and reap havoc on the top end of some of the division. We can take that knockout to Bobby Green and throw it by the wayside. You know, it's kind of a unfortunate accident. But you can't tell me you don't think Grant Dawson wouldn't beat a Dan Hooker or a Beneil Dariush or a, Mateusz Gamrot. We're in flux at middleweight, man, or lightweight. We're in flux like we are at middleweight, actually, yeah. And it really sucks. Michael Chandler's fighting Paddy Pimblett. Now, this again, these guys, I don't think they deserve the rankings they got, but they've won and beat the guys they should. So, I don't think they're the best in the world, or at least in the order that they're ranked. But this is a relatively fun fight. You've got two really big personalities. Cheatin Michael Chandler, not Iron Mike, because, he's cheating Michael Chandler. He cheated against Oliveira, punching him in the back of the head, grabbing the glove. He cheated against Dustin Poirier, fishhook and grabbing the glove. Like, the dude's a dirty fighter, and he's always been a dirty fighter. Even back in the Bellator days, he just put on this nice guy act for the UFC. And we'll be talking about nice guy acts coming over to the UFC soon here. But, this is one of those fights where it's like, this one's fun. And we've been having this slew of horrible events. UFC London, UFC Mexico City. Like, these fight cards are mid, very, very mid. Some of them are bad, like the Asu Amabayev and Manel Kape fight card, which was just dreadful. The London fight card with Leon Edwards getting, ragdolled on it. Like, it was just a bad card. And this card seems like a light of something we've worked hard for. And this is one of the fights that actually kind of make it. So you've got this giant personality in Paddy Pimblett. And he's coming in, he's got some really great grappling skills. And Michael Chandler's super explosive. And Paddy Pimblett is a really fun fighter. He's really long. He has some good weapons and such. But on the feet, I just don't see him staying with Michael Chandler. But here's the thing about Michael Chandler. He's only explosive in round 1. And if Paddy Pimblett can make it past round 1 and really start to grind on Michael Chandler, wear him out, Pimblett can take the fight to his domain if he wants to. Or he can keep the fight standing and start to ugly strike Michael Chandler's face off. Everybody wants to point to the whole Charles Oliveira getting almost finished in the 3rd round against Chandler. That was cheating. He was a cheater. But the explosivity of Michael Chandler really kind of, concerns me for Paddy Pimblett here. And let me check his ranking real quick at lightweight. We just looked at it, number 7. This will catapult Paddy Pimblett into a fight with like a Dan Hooker, and it's like, really, or a Justin Gaethje, which would be a hilarious fight. Gosh, but like if Paddy can get this fight to the ground and really start to control Michael Chandler's been controlled on the ground before. Actually, you know what? Why don't we go take a look and see when? Michael Chandler at UFC stats. Let's see. Here's our card. Michael Chandler. Let's see. Oliveira controlled, and that's, oh my gosh, 15 minutes of control time, just about, in a 5-round fight. Dustin Poirier didn't control him that much. I thought Poirier had more control than that. Did Justin Gaethje really take him down? No. No, not at all. Oliveira the first time, minute 42. Hooker didn't do anything. That's crazy. So, looking at that, like, the only time Chandler's really been controlled was against Charles Oliveira. That 14:52 of control time. Paddy can do that, actually, I think. But Paddy also has this tendency to be controlled, too. If you go watch, like, he's grown a lot since then, for sure. But the Sorenbach fight in Bellator was just, Paddy Pimblett had him, like, real hurt in the first round and real close to being submitted, and just kind of wore himself out, So there's passive victories, but like I got no love for Michael Chandler. Yeah, he's explosive fighter, but he's a big old fat cheater. He wants to play a nice guy, but he's not. We know he's not. No love, Michael Chandler. Sorry, bud. The Exorcism of John Silva. Now this comes from I lost the Twitter post, but somebody posted a picture of Bryce Mitchell holding the Bible up, yelling "Freedom!" and then a very old video of John Silva hanging from the cage before a fight, getting his name announced. He's literally hanging like this, got his feet up on the cage, growling and barking. Someone's like, "This is gonna be like from The Exorcist." Bryce Mitchell's not exorcising John Silva. It's just not happening. John Silva's just on a warpath right now. This is a big fight for him. Mitchell is, man, I don't know, like, off the deep end. First of all, we know he's a bit crazy, but like his last fight against Kron Gracie, like, okay, all right, but we know he's lost to great fighters like Ilia, Topuria, and Josh Emmett. Okay, but that's two big hitters and knockouts and a submission arm triangle from Ilia. John Silva's going to come in there and bang with him. He's going to sprawl and brawl with Bryce Mitchell, who's desperately going to be looking for takedowns. Like, please get me out of here. Let me get this to the ground. And if Bryce Mitchell gets it to the ground, he's very capable of finishing John Silva. Keep in mind, like, yeah, Kron Gracie sucks, but Bryce Mitchell got out of trouble multiple times against Kron Gracie before beating him, which is crazy to think about. Those elbows from the top, Bryce Mitchell's ground and pound's great. And if he can get John Silva to the ground, he's going to have to fight and get these takedowns, right? He'll have to grind John Silva against the fence. So, like, Silva's, like, very all over the place, man. He's all over the place. He's hard to hold on to, but Mitchell's going to have to find a way to grab him, push him against the cage, something. You're going to have to make him step back, circle out, and just dive at his legs against the cage. If you can grab onto him and slow him down, avoid the elbows as you're trying to take him down, you have a good shot at winning this, Bryce Mitchell. But I don't see that happening. I don't think Bryce Mitchell's striking is going to be enough to hurt or thwart what John Silva's coming with. Like look at who John Silva's fought, right? He's fought some fairly decent. Back Sadarian, okay. Drew Dober's a heavy hitter. Didn't slow him down. Charles Jourdain, decent hitter. Weston Wilson, no. Yeah, he's fought Jourdain and Drew Dober. And Jourdain's not really that big of a hitter. Yeah, he's 8 knockouts in 16 wins, so half of his wins come by knockout. Man, that was a crime. This fight was a crime. Weston Wilson shouldn't have been in the UFC. John Silva should have. They did Weston Wilson wrong. Where is he at now? I interviewed him a long time ago. He was a preacher. Real cool guy. I like him. But, oh, my God. Joe Anderson, Brito, and John Silva, they just fed him to the wolves. And then he got the win, and it's Chica, so, okay. But, like, I just don't see John Silva being the type of guy to be like, oh, Bryce Mitchell's hitting me. I need to back up and double think this. I think he's going to be more along the lines of, like, hey, let's bang. You want to throw strikes? Let's strike. Let's bang. And it's in those long, extended situations where John Silva gets into the pocket because, Bryce Mitchell has a lot of length on him to grab on and take him for a ride. Get him to the ground. Drag him there. So if you could slow him down and get him on his back, I think Bryce Mitchell can have a lot of success. I just don't see that happening, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did. As crazy as he is, as psycho as he is, Bryce Mitchell's a fairly good fighter, He's fairly good at implementing what he wants to do. Pitbull and Yair Rodriguez. Patricio Pitbull is finally in the UFC, and this is a really weird trend because they just announced they signed Aaron Pico. We've got MVP. Amosov I expect to see here soon, and UFC's picking up all these old Bellator guys that are built by Bellator, who no longer exist. Patricio Pitbull's one of them. Michael Chandler, I mentioned him earlier. We talked about him earlier, right? And I said we're gonna talk about Bellator in a minute. This is what we mean, like. Pitbull's fighting Yair Rodriguez, and Patricio Pitbull is well past his best. 37 years old, so like it's kind of like MVP coming over. Like, hey, you're a star, come over, sell some tickets for us. But like, Yair Rodriguez is a dangerous fighter for him, but Yair Rodriguez also kicks a lot. And I fully expect Patricio Pitbull to be like, okay, you're gonna kick. I want the kick. Bring the kick. Let me have it and explode in on the kick with a big looping shot. This is a 145, this is kind of his natural weight class. He fought at 155, but really 145 is where he's at. And Patricio's been okay. Like, let's look at his record real quick here. He's been okay in recent years. He hasn't been terrible, but he also hasn't won all the fights. This was Chirio Suzuki was a really weird knockout. Too quick of a turnaround, I think, after the Sergio Pettis fight where he was drained. But like the Jeremy Kennedy fight, that was a really good fight from him. AJ McKee fight, that was really close, but he come back and beat it. He beats Adam Borix, Juan Archuleta. So, like, Patricio Pitbull's still winning good fights. Jeremy Kennedy's not a terrible fighter at all. Yeah, he is. Never mind. Yeah. Amazing what a 3-fight losing streak can do to somebody's opinion, huh? Yeah, Patricio Pitbull, welcome to the UFC. You're following a slew of other Bellator stars. Started off by probably Alexander Volkov, and Eddie Alvarez. And now we've got MVP, Michael Chandler. You've got a whole bunch of people coming over. Pico now, which I'm most excited about Aaron Pico, honestly. I don't see Patricio Pitbull going for a title necessarily, but, he can make some noise. What else is on this card? We got some other good stuff. This is really a fun card, guys. Dominic Reyes and Nikita Krylov. Never mind, I lied to you guys. Dan Ige and Sean Woodson. This is weird. Sean's super long. Ige relies on his jab and toughness. I don't see, Ige winning that fight, honestly. I think Woodson's kind of been on tear. And I've been critical of Sean Woodson for a long time. When he made it into the UFC, he caught it with like a flying knee. And I was like, oh, he was losing that fight. They shouldn't give him a contract. And he's turned out okay, 13-1-1. Really good fighter. Verna Jandiroba and Zhao Jinyan. That's a fun fight, actually. Verna's, what's her ranking here? Women's strawweight. She should be close to a title shot against Zhang Wei Li. She wins this, I expect she gets it. Zhao Jinyan, same thing. I think this is the title eliminator for the GOAT, while she fights maybe Valentina Shevchenko or something like that. Chase Hooper and Jim Miller, that's going to be a fun fight. We'll see just how good Chase Hooper is. I'm kind of bummed Jim Miller didn't retire at 300, but he got beat up bad by Bobby Green. Chase Hooper looked good in his last fight, guys. Y'all remember that? Clay Guida, first round armbar. Borshev, he's looked tougher in his last couple fights. And young man's growing up before our eyes. Jim Miller, the old vet, he's going to, go in there, leg kick, and do what he has to do. It'd be cool to see them grapple. That'd be fun. Elkins and Julian Erosa is a really fun fight. That's one y'all want to watch out. Cedric's Dumbas versus Alexachuk. Mitch Raposo and Sumerdarji. Trishan Gore and Marco Tulilio. Okay. And then Nora Cornell and Haley Cowan. Good night of fights. I actually think this card's going to be a fun one. Pay-per-view, they always try on it, right? Fight Finder 7 is being filmed. In the description, you can check out the playlist where I talk about, I got episodes 1 through 6. So that's going to be Karate Combat, World Wushu Championships in 2023. You've got following bare knuckle boxing, history of bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle MMA, and then LSU wrestling. Bunch of episodes and a new one's on the way. Y'all want to get in on it, baby, because 7, 8, and 9 are in the works. Maybe even episode 10. If you enjoyed the video, please sub, like, follow this playlist. This is our MMA show. We do post fights every week and pre-fight views every pay-per-view. So you definitely want to get at it. Check it out. Come hang out. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think.